In this episode of Platinum Tech, we take a look at why you should upgrade the factory RB cam angle sensor and run through the range of PRP trigger kits.
Hi, Herman from Platinum Racing, and this is another Platinum Tech feature. We're going to talk about trigger kits, and the main reason we're going to get right into trigger kits is basically telling you how much of a piece of crap this is and why. So, to begin, yes, you can make over 700,000, you can make 1,000 horsepower with one of these, but for the wrong reasons. The reason these things suck, other than being really old now, 30-year-old technology, they use an optical sensor, and there's 360 little windows where that optical sensor grabs a signal. Problem being, those little windows are so close together that it's very easy for a set of big cam springs to make effectively the cam bounce enough for you to swap edges on those signals, and you'll get a dud reading, you'll throw an error or have an issue. You're also completely dismissing the benefits of having a separate cam and crank trigger kit to oppose a belt flex type situation. So we're going to go through our 4 different trigger kits, how they work, why they work, and we're going to go into the details and break them all up for you. We'll start off with our entry-level kit. We call this entry-level because it doesn't give you all the benefits of having a separate cam and crank trigger kit, but it does give you the benefit of upgrading the standard original CAS sensor and not having to pull your balancer apart. You're stuck on the dyno, you're doing it at home, you're having issues with the original CAS because it's old. Instead of replacing that and spending a heap of money on it, only to upgrade it later, you would then go and throw this kit on, which can be later upgraded, and I'll get back to that. So we have 2 options, a 12 tooth and a 24 tooth. Depending on which ECU you're running, you may only have options to run one or the other or both. Usually when it comes to trigger kits, the more teeth the better, to an extent, but you've got to realise that because these are on a camshaft, they're spinning half engine RPM, so your ECU is only going to see 6 or 12 teeth. These run a Motec sensor, which is our top-of-the-line Pro type sensor. We did it because it looks nice, and also you can upgrade this kit to a Pro level kit. You can mix and match our 12 tooth and 36 tooth upper and lower. It doesn't matter, but it's just a nicer way to finish off a nice kit. You're having issues with your cam sensor, your all-in-one sensor. You can quickly bang this one on with one of the OREs, start it up, tune away, and you can pretty well be running whilst on the dyno without having to touch the balancer, pull the engine out. If you are pulling an engine out and you are doing some more serious work over and above your standard 300, 400, 500 horsepower engine, well, you're going to be going up to a 12 tooth kit or a 36 tooth kit, which we'll get into in a minute. This kit has the same inherent issues as a factory CAS sensor because we are not eliminating a belt stretch type scenario. All trigger kits on all RBs, because we're not running a chain, we're running a plastic polymer type belt, there is a stretch. The more it revs, the more it stretches. So as your crank is pulling on that belt, higher RPM, more load, bigger cams, bigger springs, we're actually pulling away the crankshaft further away from the camshaft, and we're getting a belt stretch that you are not having any type of data to your ECU to be able to gauge and make adjustments for. The only way that this is better over an original CAS is because we don't have those tiny little 360-degree windows in the CAS sensor for the RPM. We're running either a 12 or a 24 tooth. We're not running the risk of swapping an edge, of grabbing another optical window with that tiny original system, which is great for an original standard engine, but once you start pushing a little bit of performance, you really need to step up to something like this. With a factory CAS or this system, you're really guessing as to what the crankshaft is doing. There's no calculation that'll tell you specifically what that crankshaft is doing, and you don't know how much it's stretching without putting a belt between 2 vices and hooking up some sort of load cell to work out how much it's stretching. There is no real way to work out where your crankshaft is. So you're flying blind. You'd never do it. It's an entry-level kit for a reason. Yes, it's better than an original sensor, but is it better than any of our other kits? Absolutely not. The beauty about this kit is, although it runs 2 sensors, you can just wire one up and have a separate crank, either 12 tooth or 36 tooth bottom, and have it working as a Pro top kit. So you're not spending money on the top kit separately, you're spending an extra $100 or whatever it is to be able to get this to work on your car as it is, and you can always upgrade the bottom end later. This is our most popular kit on the market. It's our standard 12-tooth single home. Comprises of 2 cherry sensors, one on the top, one on the bottom. Bottom RPM, physically 12 teeth. Yes, we do mention that you can remove a tooth if it's okay with your tuner. We don't do this because a lot of ECUs won't handle a 12 minus 1 tooth. Now, we've got a 12 tooth and 1, 12 minus 1 and 1 would be the orientation if you removed a tooth. People get that terminology wrong, so I just wanted to go over it. We've got 12 physical teeth on the bottom, our 12 crank signal, and then our 1 single signal home. Now we've automatically eliminated our issue, which is our biggest killer on an RB setup, of the belt stretch. We can gauge how much the belt's stretching, we can make adjustments to the ECU, or the ECU knows how much the belt's stretching, especially if you've got a later model Haltech Elite, for example, 2500. It'll give you a percentage of gain over home, which tells you exactly how much it's stretching, and you'll see very quickly that it stretches a lot. Very important thing when you're setting up one of these systems is that you don't get a crank signal to land at the same time a home signal is landing. You'll get what we call a swap edge swapping type issue, and it will give you a fault. And it'll save us some time with some tech support if you can avoid it. This is why we make it adjustable by 60 degrees on the cam, so you can get it to come 20 degrees off, for example, landing on a home, and your belt can stretch all the way till you're 80% through to the next gear. Sweet. You want to set it up in that sweet spot. A lot of the times people don't even realize why we make it adjustable or so adjustable. Please get that bit sorted out because it is the essence of a good trigger kit setup. So now having the belt stretch scenario sorted, we've got a lot less teeth on the camshaft to worry about. We're not going to worry about the cam bouncing around with bigger springs and bigger lobes, causing us any issues there, which we eliminate with the original cast. We've sorted out our belt stretch situation, and this is what we would call the entrance into the performance world. 300-400 horsepower, sure, you will notice a small difference with this, but you kind of need to have a minimum of this kit from then on in. And yeah, this kit will work for 1,000 horsepower, but it's not giving you all the benefits of one of our pro trigger kits, which I'll get onto in a second. Now we're going to talk about our Pro 36-2 trigger kit. We're starting off with the cam side of things. It's a pro, we call it a pro kit, which incorporates this Motec sensor as opposed to the cherry sensor. Other than that, it's the same up the top. Where you get the magic of the situation is this 36-2 crank trigger disc. Now, we're giving the ECU 3 times more data, so you can expect to see faster starting, better off-throttle response, better on-throttle response, better cruises, and overall more power, only because your ECU's converting more data. This is the trigger kit that wins World Time Attack. This is as good as it gets, slightly trickier to set up, but it's definitely worth the extra investment, and any motorsport level type build needs to have this kit on it. Now, the reason why this kit's slightly harder to set up is because we've had to sweep the angle of the sensor back because it's quite a big thing, quite a strong reluctor. Now, reluctors give out a voltage. If the ECU has got a crimp value and your sensor is too close to the wheel, that crimp value will be exceeded by the voltage spike, and you may have a trigger issue that you're chasing. You don't quite know how to get around it. You might not have a scope or be able to scope it, and you're getting an issue. Simply move the sensor away or contact your ECU manufacturer to get you some tech support. Obviously, with a Pro Series kit, the more data your ECU sees, the better. The more it converts, the better the results are going to be. So anyone that is going to a motorsport type level, or it's very hard to say how much horsepower, but obviously even on a low horsepower engine, you're going to see the results. But you're going to have to increase the quality of your ECU and spend a bit more money to make sure that your ECU can cop a 36-2 signal. So anyone going for 800 horsepower or more, or they want more accurate data, they want to push their engine tune a little further, or rev the crap out of their RB, you really need to go to something like this to get the best results. Okay, so we've covered our 3 different levels of trigger kits. entry level 12 tooth Pro. Now, we've got a mechanical fuel and a double cast bracket. We get a lot of questions about this, so we want to nail some information so you know the differences and how it integrates together. Now, this is our Pro kit. You can put either a Pro kit on the double cast or the standard cherry sensor type version, or you can integrate the cherry sensor only version into the mechanical fuel fidget here, we call them. So you can run the mechanical fuel pump by itself or separate it if you want to run a Pro trigger kit or anyone else's trigger kit. You don't have to buy it all from us. We're just simply giving you an option with a double cast. Now, you can run the double cast either with the standard 12 tooth kit with the cherry sensor in one setup or a double cast separately. It looks cool, I get that. Or you can run a Pro Series bottom and top as a Pro kit and have the mechanical fuel pump kit separate. We're merely giving you all the options, but you can integrate it, slice and dice, run it however you want, and it all works, and you've just got options, basically.